You wanted more ATV content? We delivered. It feels like in the past month or so, the manufacturers just turned on some imaginary faucet and unloaded a whole bunch of ATVs into our care. And today, I get to showcase this Outlander MAX XT featuring the 62 horsepower ROTAX 650 engine. This unit is a 2022, and it should be noted that for 23, the 650 is not available in the Outlander MAX. In fact, the 650 is only available in the 2023 Outlander 6x6 DPS. So if you've been lucky enough to pick up a 22 with a 650, or you're watching this while eyeballing a used MAX with a 650, stay tuned and I'll cover off some of the highlights of this unit that you've asked us to cover. Biggest feature of the MAX is your ability to bring along a passenger. Two-up machines are pretty awesome, and what's always impressed me about Can-Ams is that whether you're riding by yourself or with a passenger, you don't have to sacrifice performance. The Outlander MAX XT has an 8-inch longer wheelbase than the one-up Outlander XT, and features raised foot pegs in the footwells and a higher, comfortable passenger seat with multi-position passenger hand grips. That extra length means there's a ton of room in the saddle, and there's plenty of room in the footwells too, so you and your passenger can ride comfortably all day long. Its 59-inch wheelbase also offers more stability when climbing and navigating aggressive terrain. Plus, the longer wheelbase is a huge check mark in the safety column compared to adding a king-queen seat to your standard-sized ATV. Like I mentioned earlier, you truly give up nothing in the way of performance with the MAX, and as much fun as it is to ride with a passenger, the reality is you're probably going to spend the majority of your time riding this machine solo. Now, I'm going to rip this thing today with the passenger seat intact, but the MAX is equipped with a convertible rack system, so you can easily remove the passenger seat and replace it with link accessories like a cargo box to give your Outlander MAX the look of a one-upper and provide more storage for your valuables. I've been a huge fan of the 650 engine ever since I got some time trail riding the Outlander 650 Mossy Oak Edition a few seasons back. 62 horsepower is more than decent power, and the V-twin has a nice low rumble at idle, and it roars like a frickin' bear when you press the throttle. Low to mid-range power out of the 650 engine is impressive, and truthfully, it's where you're going to spend the majority of your time while you're riding this machine. Here's the kicker though, top end is impressive too. Up front, the MAX features arched double A-arms with a front sway bar and 9.2 inches of travel. Out back is Can-Am's torsional trailing arm independent suspension delivering 9.9 inches of travel. The suspension is actually set up really nice for a sport utility ATV, and Can-Am's done a decent job of finding that happy middle ground so suspension performs well with one rider or with two. The shocks on the XT aren't anything too impressive. They're simply steel body twin tube oil emulsion shocks with cam adjusters for preload. It should be noted though that if you move up to an XTP or a Limited, the MAX is equipped with Fox 1.5 Podium QS3 shocks, which offer tremendous value on those units. That said though, these shocks are decent enough, and if you plan to keep your ATV for a little bit, you can always upgrade your shocks yourself at any time. Power? Check. Suspension? Check. But how's it handle? The XT is equipped with Can-Am's Tri-Mode DPS. Now, I've always felt that Can-Am does a sensational job of dialing in its dynamic power steering, and the Tri-Mode system gives you way more control over exactly how much input you want. Tri-Mode DPS kind of makes me feel like a more adorable version of Goldilocks. That minimum setting isn't quite enough input, and the max setting sometimes feels like it's too much, but that medium setting is just right. There's almost no feedback up through the handlebars as you navigate stumps and rocky terrain, which limits fatigue in your arms and shoulders so you can ride longer and feel better the next day. Thanks to the front sway bars, body roll is very limited, so you can attack corners aggressively and get the back end a little loose, and the MAX remains planted. The XT comes equipped with 26-inch ITP Terra Cross tires wrapped around really nice blacked out 14-inch aluminum wheels. These tires might actually be my favorite off-road tire on the market, and probably what I would choose to upgrade to if I was shopping for new tires. This is not a square tire setup, and I am totally fine with that, as I find that wider fronts make steering heavier than it needs to be. I've debated this online so many times, and I get that some of you swear by a square tire setup, but for me though, this is the setup that works best on an ATV, and if you still want to debate me, I'll be by my keyboard waiting. Typically when I'm buying something, I don't go for the base model. There's nothing wrong with a base model, I just like a few extras. That said, I don't usually buy the top of the line model either. I like to find that happy middle ground where value meets investment, and this Outlander MAX is loaded with value. This package comes complete with the Terra Cross tires we talked about earlier wrapped around these 14-inch aluminum wheels. heavy-duty front and rear bumpers that actually look pretty rad, handguards and mudguards, and a 4.5-inch digital display, digitally encoded security, and a 3,500-pound winch, plus 300-pound combined rack capacity and a 1,650-pound towing capacity, so you can load it up with all your gear and your favorite human and head out for adventure. I've been pretty positive about this machine so far, and rightly so. Can-Am deserves praise for this unit. But the one thing that drives me nuts about this machine is this digital display. It's not because it isn't functional. It's got everything I need, and truthfully, it's easy enough to read and has all the basic information that I want. I just feel that Can-Am could give us a larger, more colorful display, and that would put the XT over the top against competitively priced ATVs. The bottom line is Can-Am makes a heck of an ATV. This Outlander MAX XT is loaded with great features. It rides and handles really nice, and its 650 power plant is one of the smoothest engines on the market. Plus, this ATV can be enjoyed just as much with a passenger as without, and I wouldn't hesitate for a single second to grab one of these as my own personal machine.